You know, we start practicing in September, and really the athletes are lifting on their own throughout the summer, staying in shape, getting stronger, and we start practicing in September, and we're there practicing for a couple months, just waiting, hungry to compete, and it's just a hard grind, hard work, and hit that first meet in December. And that was when I knew we were going to be pretty good. You know, the young kids competed well. Saw that we had a lot of talent when we did our testing. And then, you know, throughout the season, we just, you know, we kind of formulated a plan where we weren't going to over-compete. We were going to train hard and make sure the kids were ready when we did compete. And the reason for that was we really wanted to manage injuries. You know, it's a long season, and I think a lot of people get too busy chasing marks and competing week after week. And so we were patient, just trained hard. Mel Hurl did a great job with the athletes in the weight room, kind of getting them ready to peak at the right time. Between what we do on the track and what we do in the weight room, I think we do a good job of getting the kids ready to compete at their highest level at the right time. So it was great. We ended up having over 50 provisional marks, which is just crazy to think of. When we first started this, I had this goal of hitting 20 national qualifying provisional marks, and having over 50 just shows how deep we are. We scored in every single event at the conference championships. We were dang near all conference in every single event. First team. So we took home a lot of medals, and it's become a little bit of an expectation for us, right? You know, now that we've won, that was our 10th conference championship between the men and women together in just the last 5 years. So we'll just keep on rolling. We have trying to stay motivated, because it's almost like you're on this merry-go-round and you're doing the same thing and you hit the same goal every time, and it's just finding those new goals is what's been the challenge for us right now. Is how do we get a little bit better, you know? And that's been our thing. Is now we're starting to strive to having that national championship type goal, and not just being the conference team, which there's a fine balance there, because you see at the national championships, there's teams that place in the top 4 with 3 to 4 people, and they're not necessarily the best track team because they've got 3 to 4 studs who are placing really high in multiple events, where we had one of the biggest groups at the national championships with a lot of All-Americans, but maybe not placing as high. So we do really well at the conference meet because we can score in every single event, not with just one person, but with multiples. And that's our next goal. You know, just let's get a little bit better. Let's reach towards those national aspirations, and we're gonna get there. So let's just be clear here. We do treat ourselves as one team, but we did. That was our 3rd straight sweep of the indoor titles, so we won men's and women's. And just, you know, what we do is we try to make the kids believe that they're better than what they can be. And what ends up happening is the athletes believe it, and they end up surprising us, and they start hitting these marks that we didn't even believe they could hit, you know. And we put a lot of emphasis on the conference championships. We try to peak them at that meet, both in the weight room and the track, and get them fresh and ready and mentally prepared, and just believe that every single one of them can win. And we had a lot of surprises, had a lot of people winning those events that weren't necessarily on paper to do it. And we try to really emphasize that, like, what's on paper means nothing. You know, that's why we have a track meet. You know, we weren't ranked to go 1, 2, 3 in the women's 60, I'll tell you that much. But we did. And the athletes just get hyped up. You know, you find that they end up doing more for their team rather than just competing for themselves. So that's a meet where we're going for a team championship. Every point counts, and the athletes really rise up because they're doing it for something bigger than themselves. They're doing it for the squad, the team, the family, and it's just great to see. I mean, those are the meets that we live for, is, you know, trying to put the numbers together, like where can we score the most. You know, obviously there's athletes that are in multiple events during the year, but they can't do everything. So it's where we can maximize their points, and it all came together, and it's just love to see it, you know. And that's seeing those athletes carrying that trophy around the track and having their little chant they do. One team, 2 titles. It's just an unbelievable feeling. Never gets old. And we're just looking forward to, you know, keeping at it, getting a little bit better, and trying to win some more. Yeah, so some of the older athletes that are a little bit more developed, we pushed them through and tried to peak them at the national championships. Some of the younger ones who came on late and qualified at the conference championships, we had to peak them at the conference championships in order to get them to the national championships. So they were kind of hanging on there, you know, trying to hang on to their peak. And we saw it a little bit, you know, some of the younger athletes where you can make a mistake at conference and still make the finals. Where at the national meet, if you make a little mistake, you're not making the finals. So, and they learned a lot. You know, we had a lot of young kids there, and they're going to be back, and they're going to be better. And, you know, it's just, I think you end those meets and you're like, everybody's good from top to bottom, you know, first place all the way down to 16th. It's every single person is really good. So you got to be on it. But we ended up with a pretty good group of All-Americans, but you always end those meets and you're like, man, I just want more. How do I get more? And that's what we went back to the drawing board, and, you know, that's what we're striving for at the next outdoor championships. Between Layla, Hannah Meek, and Kayla Zink, you know, those girls were the girls that really founded our program, and they've been, you know, they're irreplaceable. You know, they were part of the first conference championship we won, and as freshmen, and they've really paved the way for every other girl that's gonna come through this program. And, you know, it's just they'll be, you know, etched in stone on the record board forever, you know. And it's just having girls like that who came in and we got to remember this, they came in as developers. You know, Hannah Meek was like a 17-11 long jumper. Now she's jumping 21-3. Kayla Zink didn't know what foot went forward in the blocks. You know, came from a small town in eastern Colorado, and, you know, and she ends up running 11.5 in the 100, and, you know, being a national runner-up in the 60 meters. It's just incredible. Layla, you know, she came in as a walk-on and developed and is a multiple-time All-American now in multiple different events. So we got to remember that, you know, not everybody needs to be great when they come in, because we can get them here and we can make them better. Yeah. But, you know, we owe those girls everything. You know, they paved the way. So one more ride, it was kind of emotional indoors, being the last one that they did. Last time running on an indoor track, last indoor nationals, last conference championship. Now they've got, you know, just about 2 more months here, and they'll be graduating, going off and getting their jobs, and kind of moving on with life. So, yeah, so outdoors, there's a lot of factors that go into running fast, jumping far, throwing far. And when we're here in Colorado competing, we don't necessarily know what the weather's gonna be, right? So if we've got a weekend where we're looking at it and it's gonna be 70 degrees and sunny, we're gonna be competing, because that's gonna be a lot better practice for us in preparation for later on. So we took advantage of those first couple meets here in Pueblo. We went right in after nationals. We had a national championship. That following week we had a competition in Pueblo, And so there was no break. It's mentally, physically exhausting, but we get our breaks. You know, we went 2 weeks on with the most of the group, and then had a week off with the majority. And then what we do prepare for is getting ready for meets that we think that are going to have the competition, have the weather, have the right winds, all those things. So we've got scheduled a meet at West Texas A&M this weekend. We just took a few distance runners to Stanford this last weekend. Affy Zaru just ran sub 29 in the 10K, which, you know, this early, that guy's just on fire. Amazing athlete, broke our school record. Layla and Riley both ran the 5K at Stanford, also both school record times. So we're getting ready to go to West Texas with the sprinters and jumpers and throwers. And then the next week will be one where it's a select few, you know, going to California. We'll be between Mount Sac, relays, Long Beach State, and Azusa Pacific. So we'll have the opportunity to compete in 3 different meets over 2 days. And again, we're gonna it's gonna be perfect. Weather's great, not a lot of wind. So, and it's gonna be good for all the throwers, jumpers, and the distance runners. So, and we'll be looking at just taking like our national quality type group, athletes who we think can qualify for nationals or already have. So it'll be about 27 athletes, and really looking forward to these next couple weeks. Then we'll be light, have kind of a week off, and then get ready for the conference championships.